Hi everybody, this is STEFAN MOLYNEUX from Free Domain. So once more we must lift the light of reason and evidence high, ride deep into the valley of the shadow of falsehoods and illuminate the facts as they are. So every now and then, I guess like some vile herpes, this accusation against me erupts, maybe when people can't find good responses to my arguments, that I have been described recently as a white supremacist, and these are dangerous and vile accusations, so the evidence goes back many years. Here is what I have said in this realm, and unpleasant though it is, of course, to respond to these allegations, given the seriousness and dangerousness of the accusation, it's well worth doing. So, from December 4th, 2018, I wrote, Sigh, not an argument, kid. Here's a simple breakdown. 1. You accused me of being a white supremacist for talking about harsh environments driving intelligence, which is one theory as to why there could be average differences in IQ between ethnicities. In intelligence tests, whites score lower than East Asians. Therefore, I cannot be a white supremacist, right? So you're talking about IQ. Whites are kind of in the middle and can't be a white supremacist talking point. It is a very important talking point to help maintain peace within society, but it's not a white supremacist talking point, of course, right? December 6th, 2018. Statements are not arguments, my friend, I write. You know as well as I do that citing IQ studies that puts whites squarely in the middle has nothing to do with white supremacy, unless you think the middle is somehow on the top, in which case, please don't ever make me a sandwich. Boom! It's not that easy to come up with IQ jokes, but I guess dad like I try. January 12th, 2019, I wrote, Sigh, whites don't score at the top of IQ tests. How is that supremacy? I'm a facts supremacist, and that is very true. You follow the facts, the evidence, the reason, wherever it leads. Although it may be short-term tough, it is long-term flourishing. May 22nd, 2019. People tweet such dangerous and irresponsible lies. I've, of course, never claimed to be a white supremacist. And this was a rebuttal to someone. This was May 29th, 2019. I wrote, Hey, Mike, I don't have opinions on IQ. I have conducted in-depth interviews with 18 world experts on human intelligence. That's very true. In wanting to find out the truth about this, I went to a wide variety of experts with top-notch academic credentials. I interviewed them for hours and hours and hours, got to the bottom of the data. And these are people from all over the political spectrum and so on, and I let them, say, oh, don't shoot the messenger. I let them make the case because I think it's a very, very important topic. So I did that, and so I am not a white supremacist, I say, and with regards, occasionally this cult thing comes up, and I said I remind people that they don't have to stay in abusive relationships, not that they have to leave, right? I'm a big free will guy, which is why I work so hard to help people gain wisdom and freedom from abuse and so on, so telling people what to do is not very helpful when it comes to strengthening their muscles of free will. June 11th, 2019, I got some shade from Ben Shapiro, and I said, I like Ben Shapiro in many ways, but when he says that I have borderline white supremacist theories, he shows a callous disregard for truth and decency. I have always argued that no race is superior to any other race. Ben, let's chat about some science. FDRURL.com/IQ. I guess we can imagine where that went, right? Nowhere. June 11, 2019, I wrote, Whites are in the middle of the average IQ range. There is nothing supremacist about talking about IQ. May 29th, 2019, I said, first of all, these characteristics are far from universal, and it is not established that they are all genetic. Secondly, these are all true of whites relative to East Asians, so I suppose whites are genetically inferior to East Asians according to you, right? Pushing back against this hierarchy. I also wrote, May 29, 2019, each race has its own strengths and weaknesses, as you would expect, given that they had to adapt to widely different local environments. The grizzly bear is different from the polar bear, but neither is superior or inferior. Very, very important. June 11th, 2019, and I reiterated this so many times in my interviews and podcasts and videos as well. First of all, I wrote, you never judge an individual by group averages. Secondly, IQ data is over 100 years old. It is the most established metric in the social sciences. IQ metrics do not indicate superiority or inferiority. Different groups just adapted to local environments. Very true. December 5th, 2018, I wrote, no race is superior, no race is inferior. They are all just a bit different. and we can either explore those differences honestly or destroy our societies by assuming that all discrepancies in group outcomes are due to racism, bigotry, and hatred. Not much time left to choose. Yeah, we're a little bit different. We can explore these honestly with curiosity, with science, with facts, or we can just attack each other. And this is not a good plan at all. January 24th, 2019, I wrote, evolution doesn't deal with superiority, only best adaptations to local environments. A shark is a superior swimmer to a lion. Does that mean that the lion is genetically inferior to the shark? A rhetorical question. The answer is of course not. So here I said, East Asians and some Jews score higher on IQ tests, and I've always denied and opposed the idea that any race is superior to any other. Try to regain your honor by speaking the truth. December 6, 2018, I wrote, thinking that one race is superior to another is like saying that the brown bear is superior to the polar bear. The question makes no sense. Each species adapts to its local environment. That doesn't mean, and here I'm talking about different species, that doesn't mean that they will flourish as well in each other's environment, though. December 30th, 2018. Think of it this way, I said. A champion runner is good at running. A champion swimmer is good at swimming. It doesn't make much sense to ask which is the superior athlete. Each is good at different things. Make sense? I hope so. Now, I guess with some back and forth with Nassim Taleb, I wrote, this is December 30th, 2018, I wrote, oh dear Nassim, the word obsession is not an argument. Also, I have repeatedly said that I utterly reject the concept of racial superiority. Please try to control your triggering, my friend. These are important issues. October 19th, 2018, I write, absolutely false. No quotes provided, of course. I have repeatedly and consistently stated that I have never believed in any kind of racial superiority or inferiority. Try to be responsible. When characterizing people, the truth is tough enough without muddying the waters. And that's really true. You have to be responsible how you characterize people. November 25th, 2018, I write, actually whites score in the middle of the IQ test. It's hard to portray that as some sort of racial superiority. March 8th, 2019, I reject any concept of IQ superiority, right? So this is the data. Intelligence is 80% genetic by our late teens. That is the science. Philosophy evens out intelligence, I write, by powering up wisdom, which can be learned. A person with low intelligence in possession of the truth is superior to a genius stuffed with dangerous errors, right? This is what I wrote. It's very important. I'm a free will guy. 20% in terms of IQ is quite a lot to work with, and this is why I talk about peaceful parenting, reasoning with your children, and all of that. So as far as ethnic differences, nobody knows. The genetics or environment, that's still very much up in the air, and I've never taken any position on it because I'm not a scientist and I simply pass along the messages. July 26th, 2019, I write, I don't believe or accept the concept of racial superiority or inferiority. Every race adapted well to its local environment. August 6, 2019. Sigh. In 15 years on the public stage, I never once said whites are superior. From a scientific evolutionary standpoint, that would make no sense. Is a brown bear superior to a polar bear? Educate yourself before spreading dangerous lies. You're going to get someone hurt. Quite true. I wonder sometimes if that's sort of the point. September 2nd, 2019. I'm responding to a criticism of this. It's all fake news, my friend. Politically, I am a voluntarist or peaceful anarchist. I oppose all ideas of racial supremacy. I oppose all government programs, including eugenics. I have interviewed many experts on human intelligence. FDR.url.com/IQ. Ask away. The eugenics thing is really strange to me. So many years ago, in my call-in show, a listener was complaining about pedophiles being around children, the danger of pedophiles being around children, and I went on a rant about how we need to clean up the entire breeding arena of the species. It's nothing to do with eugenics, nothing to do with race. It's about keeping pedophiles away from children. Willful misinterpretation. It's kind of staggering to see just how disconnected some people's sense of reality is. All right. So somebody said, can you repeat, I oppose all ideas of racial supremacy more often? And I said, September 2nd, 2019, okay, I have always opposed all forms of racial supremacy. September 3rd, 2019, fake news, I oppose racial supremacy. September 3rd, fake news, I oppose all forms of racial supremacy and support full equality under the law. September 3rd, 2019, please learn to be critical of dangerous nonsense you read on the internet. I oppose all forms of racial supremacy and bigotry, black, white, Jewish, you name it. Learn some science about human intelligence. It will calm you down. Facts are like the antidote to hysteria, I think. FDRURL.com/IQ. September 3rd, 2019. I have worked with good people of just about every ethnicity to oppose radicalization and supremacy. Very true. September 5th, 2019. In response to a query, I wrote, "Hi, Frederick. Nice to meet you. We should never judge individuals by group averages. Higher/lower IQ does not equal superior/inferior. The purpose of philosophy is happiness, which is not equal to IQ. All should be equal before the law. Ethnic IQs do differ on average." And again, back to the science, right? 17-18 interviews. August 21st, 2019. I have always rejected the concept of racial superiority or inferiority, just as I have always rejected judging individuals by group averages. August 21st, 2019. Oh, come on, try to think a little. Are men superior to women? Of course not. Different strengths do not mean superior, right? So men are generally taller, men have an average 40% more upper body strength. That doesn't mean that men are superior to women. It's just different evolutionary pressures. August 22nd, 2019. In response, I wrote, "Jews on average are enormously talented and brilliant in many areas, of course. That does not translate to superiority, though. Whites on average have higher IQs than, say, pygmies. Pygmies survive better in their environment. That does not make whites or pygmies superior." I know it's going to be tough, right? But it's the way science and facts work. September 12th, 2019, I wrote, "When whites are in the middle of the IQ band, how do those facts spell white supremacy?" October 3rd, 2019. Everyone gets to be a white supremacist. Heck, even I get called that, and I've never said whites are superior to or should rule over any other race. November 9th, 2019, I posted a snippet from one of my videos, STEFAN MOLYNEUX, on the evils of racism and racial supremacy, and the video is linked below. It's now available on BitChute. October 21st, 2019, I wrote, "All fake news. I've written books and articles on my politics, anarcho-capitalism, not alt-right. I've never once made the claim that any race is superior to any other. I've interviewed 17 world-leading experts in the field of human intelligence, FDRURL.com/IQ. January 6, 2020, I wrote, "You should not spread vicious aspersions based on the lies of others, but rather investigate the truth for yourself." Boy, how much better would the world be if that was actually followed. I wrote, "I have never promoted eugenics or racial superiority of any kind. My ideal is a stateless society. When they lie about you, and they will, who will help you?" January 18th, 2020, I wrote, "Higher versus lower IQ is not superior versus inferior, just different." January 18th, 2020, I wrote, "You don't understand evolution at all. Extra height is not objectively superior. It depends on the environment. Same with IQ." January 18th, 2020, I have always argued against the concepts of racial superiority and or inferiority. Everyone should be equal before the law. No race, ethnicity, or group should be discriminated against, segregated, or excluded. April 27th, 2020, I wrote, "To hell with all supremacy, white, black, Jewish, Asian, you name it." And we should all have equality before the law and all be equal in the eyes of philosophy. May 23rd, 2020, sigh. "There is no such thing as inferior or superior when it comes to evolution and human races. Is the brown bear superior to the polar bear? The standard is meaningless. Each has adapted to its own, to its evolutionary environment. Sorry, but people who project are so boring." June 30th, 2020, I wrote, sigh, "When I talked about viewing humanity as different species, it was an analogy for the predator-prey relationship between criminals and their victims. Nothing to do with race at all. As for white supremacy, I'm an advocate for a stateless society, no rulers at all." So this is another thing, right? So I said, I don't view humanity as the same species, as a single species. And I said directly in that it was about crime, it was about criminals hunting and preying upon their victims, and it was an analogy. I said, I know human beings are the same species, but this is a way of looking at criminals and their prey as a predator-prey relationship, which is a different species. It was an analogy about crime, and not even a particularly original one. You always hear about sexual predators and that serial killers are hunting people and so on, right? So it had nothing to do with race or anything like that. So anyway, June 30th, 2020, somebody wrote, "Science does not support racial hierarchy, only white supremacist propaganda does." And I said, agreed. No race is superior to any other race. Differences are largely due to local adaptation to specific environmental variables. Is it superior to have lighter or darker skin? The question makes no sense. Depends on the environment. So, I mean, there's more, but these are, hopefully that's enough. I don't want to do a half-hour video or an hour video on me pushing back against all this nonsense and dangerous nonsense that it is. But these have all been publicly available for years. They're in the podcast, they're in the videos. They were on YouTube, they were on Twitter when I was there. So this is nothing too shocking, I hope, to those who've listened to me for a while. And of course, if you've heard this nonsense, this is the facts around it. And you know, referring to me as a white supremacist is really dangerous. Like, maybe that's kind of the point. It's to get me hurt or something like that. It puts me at great personal risk, and we kind of do have to have a deal in civilization that we're going to try our best to tell the truth about each other. And I hope that we can, because for those who want the truth, I mean, there are people out there who don't. For those who want the truth, this is the truth. This has been my consistent, maintained, public, available position for many, many, many years. I want the best for everyone. I want truth. I want reason. I want peace. I want debate. I want discussion. Because the alternative, well, it's a civilization in flames, and nobody's going to win from that. So please, please, spread this information. Push back against this nonsense and these dangerous lies. Really, really important. You can do whatever you want with this. Just post it all over the place. And thank you so much. This is STEFAN Molyneux from Free Domain, freedomain.com. Have yourself a good day.